Before the COVID pandemic, Dr. Fauci, as head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Just a few days ago, some very highly confidential and classified documents were released by the Director of Intelligence in the United States. And these documents prove that the COVID-19 virus was manufactured and was engineered. So what does that imply? What does that mean? It means that the COVID-19 pandemic was intentionally planned by people. So the virus didn't originate from nature, as a lot of people once misled so many others to believe. I'm referring to the WHO, who officially declared, that the COVID virus originated from nature, was of a natural origin. And chief of this is Dr. Anthony Fauci. In case you don't know, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is he actually? He's, I think, the former director of the NIH. I don't think he still holds that position. So Dr. Anthony Fauci was the chief, it was the main person who was giving guidelines and recommendations and safety measures regarding the COVID pandemic. It was the one that every mainstream person was listening to. So this man gave out the guideline, like the use of nose masks and also mandated vaccines and the social distancing. And not just that, he was also the spokesperson, self-proclaimed spokesperson for science and for the world. So, but it turns out that all this while, Dr. Anthony Fauci, was sponsoring a research in China, in Wuhan, China, where the virus is alleged to have leaked from. And not only was he sponsoring the research, it wasn't just sponsoring any research. In case you don't know, Dr. Anthony Fauci was sponsoring a gain-of-function research. So what a gain-of-function research means is that it's a kind of research whereby organisms, or in this case viruses, are modified to gain new ability. So guess the virus that Dr. Anthony Fauci's program and his corporations and his institutions were modifying. It was a coronavirus. It was the coronavirus. So this was long before there was the pandemic, long before the outbreak. This is really, if you understand this breakthrough and the implication, it's really, really devastating. It's huge. It's huge because at the very start of the COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Anthony Fauci stated, that the virus was of a natural origin, that it came from humans, and we even have WHO officially declaring it. So, it would not have been a problem if it was just their own personal opinion. But guess what? There were a lot of whistleblowers, chief of which I really thank God for Pastor Chris. He was very outspoken about it. There was a lot of whistleblowers who came to oppose, this narration of the COVID-19 just being a sudden virus that came out of nature. These whistleblowers all claim that there were foul play in it, that it was a manufactured and engineered virus. But guess what? These people were threatened. They were deplatformed and decensored by these same, I will call them deep state, the likes of, I'm going to give you the evidence to this, the likes of Dr. Anthony Fauci, the WHO. They censored, they threatened, deplatformed any idea, any narrative that contradicts their own on the COVID-19. So they literally censored, as at last year, I think that was 2025, Mark Zuckerberg, who is the CEO of Meta, Facebook, Facebook is the largest social media platform. It has Facebook, WhatsApp, and so many other platforms. Last year, he actually wrote a letter to Congress and confess to Congress in the United States that the Biden administration forced him to censor some information regarding COVID. So what are we saying here? So first of all, there was a leak, there was a virus, the coronavirus. The WHO, the Dr. Fauci people, the NIH, people who were supposedly who appointed themselves to give guidelines to the world, came with information which has now been proven to be false. They claim it was of a natural origin, which wasn't true. And then anyone who came with any contrary opinion were cancelled. I don't want to go into details, but we know what they did to them. No, I'm not talking to all of you because a lot of you were ignorant. You're very ignorant about the situation. So then it turns out that he, Dr. Anthony Fauci, listen, the person who were giving you all the guidelines, the person in charge, of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease Control, that is Dr. Anthony Fauci, the one in charge of protecting the world, was financing a lab in Wuhan, China, that engaged in gain of function research on the coronavirus. And that is where the virus is alleged to have leaked from. So this recent breakthrough, this recent release, the classified document, I want to first say thank you to the former director of intelligence, that is Tulsi, Gabbard, and also to President Donald Trump, because according to her, it's under his mandate to make everything transparent to the world. So President Donald Trump wants the whole world to know the truth now. So these documents were once confidential, was once kept as classified document, but they've just been released, and they prove a few things. So the first thing they prove is that Dr. Anthony Fauci is an experiment, a secret experiment in Wuhan, China, was enhancing coronavirus to be stronger. So this was before the release. This was before the outbreak of the virus. So this explains why they, did all they could, to suppress and to cancel anyone with contrary opinion. So that was the first thing. And the second thing, it also proved that Dr. Anthony Fauci misled the whole world. He has been caught doing that. He misled Congress. The document, I don't want to go dive into the document. You can find it on the website of the National Institute of Intelligence, So this is it's a remarkable breakthrough in the in understanding the origin of the COVID-19 pandemic. So what this means is that pandemic was actually engineered. What that means is that it wasn't just a suddenly natural outburst of a viral outbreak. There were people behind it. Chief of it is Dr. Anthony Fauci, and the WHO is complicit as well. This is very evil. This is evil. This is evil. It's one thing to know that there are evil people out there. Then it's another thing to know that the evil people out there, are made as a symbol of light. And they are the one giving you all of the guidelines to live good lives. I'm referring to Dr. Fauci, Bill Gates. They hold this position. And yes, I'm referring to the vaccine. They are the same people manufacturing and imposing, this deadly, they've never, and the evidences has been there. They've never had the interest of people. They've always have this sinister propaganda, this evil propaganda. And Jesus, it was, the Bible rightly described them. People, it rightly describes Satan. It says as someone that his outward appearance is as a light. I think it's Paul, somewhere in the Bible. So Satan is not, in the world, it doesn't operate as a hideous looking monsters that you can easily recognize. It comes through, like you are seeing now, healthcare. So this is very, very, and they are all together. And guess what? In case you don't know, they also have a way of making themselves immune to the consequences, because when the former president of the United States, Joe Biden, was leaving office, I think on his last week or probably on the very last day, one of the things he did was to give a presidential pardon to Dr. Anthony Fauci. So what that means is that he should not be touched for any crime. Why? Because it was a preemptive presidential pardon. It was a preemptive pardon. It was in anticipation for when the whole world will catch up to his lies. They are not going to have their way with it. They're not going to have their way. They are not going to have their way. They are not going to have their way. Justice is going to be called for, and there have been justice, not just in, I was reading a tweet from Senator Rand Paul. He said it's very optimistic that Fauci will face the law. He will face the repercussion for his terrible action, that destroy economy and, killed millions of people.